Welcome to the Two Togs Talk podcast, where two photographers with hundreds of weddings worth of experience give you meaningful insights into what works and what doesn't, reveal juicy wedding nightmares from actual weddings, and what you can do to make your wedding day more magical. He's Garrett, the old pro, who still cries at daddy-daughter dances and who definitely steals an extra cupcake on his way out.
She's Gianna, the young gun, who's always got the extra safety pin or granola bar handy and who is currently planning her own wedding. Together, we can help make your biggest day more memorable, more relaxed, and more personal to you and your vision. Okay, friends, welcome back to the Two Togs Talk podcast. Last week, we squirreled for 20 cool wedding tips. Today, we're going to squirrel for 20 more. How about that?
Perfect.
So last week we discussed 20 different tips from all directions of thing, and today we're going to continue that trend and hopefully add a few more valuable tips to your wedding day. So make sure you've got your wedding day binder out, get your crayon or your pencil or whatever you're drawing with this thing, and let's get to it. So we're going to start with something that's super awesome. We're going to bring all the sexy topics to the front here at the beginning of this one. How about that? Okay, so tip number 1 for today.
AKA 21 if you listen to last week's podcast.
Make sure you listen to last week's podcast so you get caught up to speed on the first 20. Number 21, the tip is to make sure that your alcohol provider has insurance.
Big thing.
Alcohol is a touchy subject when it comes to weddings, especially when it comes to the insurance and the logistical side of things. There are certain venues that will only let certain vendors serve alcohol at their wedding or at their venue. So make sure you do your research on that. Make sure that your alcohol provider has insurance because the last thing we want out of this amazing, awesome day is liability and an issue when it comes to your people drinking and moving in a car. So make sure that your alcohol provider has insurance.
And number 22 is off the same boat of insurance. Make sure that you purchase an event insurance policy. Not everywhere requires this. Some venues actually have that already covered, so you don't have to do that. But verify with vendors, verify with your venue. If you do need to purchase that, make sure you add it into your budget too.
For sure. And it's not that expensive, right? You can get some of these for just a couple $100s or something, depending on what agency you use. But the idea here is to cover yourself against the random things that happen, right? Maybe you have a bridal party member that gets drunk and breaks something or falls through a glamping tent bed on his way to sleeping off his drunk, things like that. The last thing we want out of this whole process is to take such a magical day and to ruin it with a bill that you weren't expecting to come because people just didn't do what they were supposed to. So make sure that your alcohol provider has insurance. Make sure that you get yourself an event insurance policy for the day as well. Okay, this one is specific to those listening in the state of Montana or planning to get married in the state of Montana. But tip number 23 is in the state of Montana, you actually sign your new name on your marriage license. So if you're planning on taking his name or changing your name in the process of getting married, make sure that you sign your new name on there.
Or else you have to go through the whole process again and redo things.
And make sure all the signatures are the same and yada, yada, yadas. What typically ends up happening is you haven't practiced that. You show up, it's like, okay, now I am Gianna, and then it's the first letter, and then it's a blah, 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 blah. It's just a bunch of scribble and gibberish after that. And that's fine, whatever. But if you were planning on changing your name in the process, you sign your new name on your marriage license.
Bingo.
Boom.
Number 24. This is very hit or miss, and it depends on who you are.
Know your crowd.
Know your crowd. Know how long they talk for. But open the floor to toasts after your main people have spoken, because you might be surprised what you hear. That being said, I mean, typically people do, like, specific people are told that they're giving toasts. If you open up to your guests afterwards, the odds of them having a written toast that will last 20 minutes very slim, so you're not risking it too much on that. But if you're a little bit worried about time or not wanting things to drag on because you've now opened up the mic and 20 of your cousins want to talk about you.
We all know the drunk uncle's got a story or 5. And sometimes those are good. Sometimes they make sense. Sometimes they add to the moment.
Other times you want to cut off the mic.
Most times they don't, right? So Yes, giving people around you the opportunity to speak on your behalf, you'd be surprised at how many people would actually shy away from a microphone. So it's not, you're not adding a ton of these things, but we've actually seen this done, and we've seen some really surprising, heartfelt messages come from people that you weren't expecting to have that kind of impact on your day. So,
Yeah.
so if you're up to that, and if you want to have people do that, that's a great way to open up your floor and let other people speak into the microphone.
Yes.
Because we all know, as podcasters, any nerds can talk into microphones.
True that.
Okay, let's talk about this one. From your photographer, this is a tip that's going to help your photographer
And maybe your groom.
and maybe your groom. Yeah, it'll be, this one significantly gives us a better chance at capturing the moment. But tip number 25 is to make sure that your first kiss is 25% longer than you think it should be.
Make sure it's just extra, extra long until it's like almost an uncomfortable level of long.
Right.
Because people, no doubt, or if they have their phones out, are going to try to catch that. And your photographer is going to try to catch that. And if those things try to happen at the same time and you have 2 seconds, you might miss it.
Right. Or as a photographer, maybe I want the close-up shot and then I want a different angle shot, and I can move and quickly do that real quick. If it's just a peck and we're done, then that's a problem. I
And also, just a peck is almost too quick for photographers sometimes too. If you miss
1000%.
that 1,000th of a second, you're not going to have a first kiss photo. So
we charge more if
kiss
we
a
have to
couple times.
we have to Photoshop your faces together. If you kissed and you're pulling away and we haven't caught that moment, we charge a lot more money to put your faces back together. I'm just kidding. We don't do that. But just make the first kiss longer than you think it should be.
Or kiss a couple times.
Or twice or 4 times, whatever
Yeah,
it takes.
do what you want. But make
your
sure
day.
it's kissing.
Yes.
And let's have it.
Perfect. Okay. Along that same line, so while you are kissing for 25 to 30 or 50% longer than you think you should, make sure that your officiant steps to the side of this whole process when it happens, because nobody loves the photo of the first kiss with a random officiant face sticking over the top of the whole process.
Yeah. They're hard to edit out.
Yes.
But also, and if you think that they can't, like, I now pronounce you husband and wife, and then move, have them move before saying, I now pronounce you, because then they're already out of the way. There's not going to be any running and tumbling and possibly tripping by trying to get out very quickly. So,
Right. Or he's still in the photo because, he says, he forgot. And now he's trying to duck and cover as the kiss is happening. And then that's even a more awkward
and then
photo
he
as
looks
he's-
even more awkward in the background.
Yeah. So just make sure your officiant, whoever it is, steps to the side as they pronounce you husband and wife so that you don't photobomb the first kiss.
Number 27, we've told you this a million times, and we'll tell you it one more. Pick your photographer based on their style and their personality first, and their price second.
Preach it, sister. Here's the thing. Your photographer is providing you the thing that's going to last the longest when it comes to the wedding day, right? You'll have your dress forever, but it might not fit forever. Your cake's going to be gone. Your DJ is going to, the music is going to be gone, all the things, right? But when your photographer is handing you images from your day, if you don't like the style that they provide you with, and if they're not really fun people to hang out with, here's the other thing. Your photographer is going to be with you the most throughout
most
the
of your
entire
day.
day, right? From the getting ready process where you're still in your robe, getting all that stuff done, to the end of the night when your shoes are off on the dance floor and the wedding
booze is flowing.
the booze is flowing and all your wedding parties picking you up going, oopa, 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 right? Like your wedding photographer is going to see you all the way through that process, right? So making sure that that person adds to the party, right, is a personality fit to you. If you want somebody that's lively and bubbly, make sure that you find the person that is that, because there's photographers out there that are all sorts, all shapes and sizes, right? Some people like to just be more fly on the wall documentary style photographers and not kind of interact with any of that kind of stuff. And some of them just dive headfirst right into the process and say, cool, let's go. Let's add to this thing. Whatever your vibe is, whatever your style is, make sure that you use that as a criteria when it comes to picking your photographer, and not just price shopping, right? If you just go and say, well, I only have this much money for a photographer and I want to just, give me what I can get with that. If you haven't done that personality and that style based criteria first, you're going to be disappointed in the product at the end of the day. So pick your photographer based on their style and their personality before looking at their price tags.
Yes. Tip number 28. If you're not set on a specific day, get married on days other than Saturday. Because first of all, it is 90% of the time way less expensive. For pretty much any vendor, I want to say venues specifically are much cheaper during the week.
We're pretty close to having shot a wedding on every day of the week. I think Wednesdays might have been the day we haven't accomplished at
Yeah,
this
we
point.
just did a
Yeah.
Thursday.
Done
Definitely done Tuesdays.
Mondays are popular because of holidays like
Yeah.
Memorial Days, Labor Days, things like that. But yeah, ways to bring your budget down a little bit is if you're looking to get married on something that's not a Saturday. You'd be amazed at what the options are there.
Yeah, and also availability of vendors is much easier if you're planning a wedding and I mean you choose to do it in 3 months rather than a year. Your venue list is going to be a lot smaller if you're looking only on Saturdays. But a lot of these vendors have the ability to do weddings middle of the week. So
we'll get an inquiry and they'll say, "Hey, here's our wedding date. Are you available?" And I look up the date and it's a Friday, and I'm like, "Yeah,
heck yeah,
totally, we're available." Duh, right? Because Saturdays are booked up. That's great, but other days need love too. So
True.
make sure you give it that extra love. Okay, number 29. Make sure that you buy your spouse a gift for your wedding day. Make. Provide your spouse with a gift, right? Whether that's something that you have made, whether that's something that you purchased, just adds that extra
special note, even.
Exactly, right? Doesn't have to be expensive, right? But it adds that extra little bit of meaning. I had a couple one time that bought a journal. And what they did on their wedding day was they had the flower girl run the journal back and forth. They were getting married or they were getting ready in 2 separate places in the same venue. And so they ran back and forth. This girl was the messenger and she ran this notebook back and forth to each other and they wrote each other notes in this thing. They communicated via writing, and this girl ran the journal back and forth, and now they get to look through that journal and kind of be, think of it, see what they were thinking about, hear what they were talking about.
Yeah, texting is fine, but it's way cooler to do it more personal. Have a note, pass along.
Right.
Don't be on your phone the whole time. Yeah, I mean, we've seen all sorts of gifts. We've seen brides take naked Polaroids and send them over to the grooms on the wedding morning. We've seen it all.
Yep. So there's lots of options, right? But having a gift for your spouse on the wedding day adds a cool little piece of the puzzle to the thing. So, so make sure you put that together.
Sweet. And number 30, have a photo booth at your reception or some form of it. You don't need to purchase a expensive photo booth corner. You can build your own. You can have Polaroids. You can have your photographer go over there to get some photos at the end of the night. But having a photo booth is fun just because all your guests kind of get to have a little bit more interaction on your wedding day. They get fun photos from your wedding day of just them and their family and you and them.
Add some cool combinations to the day and think about all the amazing blackmail that you could get if this was at the end of the night, right? And everybody's had a drink or 3 and now everybody's wearing a Viking helmet. Whatever. Off we go. Okay. Tip number 31, if the ring doesn't fit on your finger for some reason, right? And it happens. We've seen this done before. Don't just slam it home and try to force it on there by yourself. Just, act like it went on all the way and then just let them kind of securely fasten it to their finger after the fact, right? We've seen lots of funny moments at weddings that include the groom trying to smash this ring on somebody's finger and it doesn't fit, or vice versa, right? Usually his finger is a lot, thicker and
yeah, your fingers swell up on hot days. They swell up when you're drinking. They swell up when you're eating. There's a lot of reasons why your fingers might not be the size of your actual ring on the day of your wedding. So don't be stressed out if your ring doesn't go on all the way the first time.
Yeah, it's okay. It's fun.
It happens.
They still want to marry you.
Yeah.
And that's what jewelers are for. They can resize stuff if they need to.
Exactly.
Okay, so if you listened last week, we talked about how you can incorporate grandparents into your wedding day. Here is tip number 32, is to let your grandparents be the flower people at your wedding day, right? Some people don't have those cute little 3 and 4-year-olds that want to walk down the aisle and do something
funny. Or you don't
funny.
like kids and you don't want them at your wedding.
Or you don't have kids and you don't want them at your wedding, right? Let your grandparents do this stuff. That's a really cool way to give them a piece of the puzzle. They get to do something that gives them a task and be a bigger part of this thing. So letting your grandparents be the flower people down your wedding day is awesome. Or even better, let grandma hand out beers at your wedding.
Oh my God, if I had a grandma.
How cool would that be?
We're doing the beer boys.
Nice.
If I had grandparents, that would 100% happen. Unfortunately, we do have to use our 25-year-old friends that are just dudes that are kind of lame.
Yeah.
No offense.
So
But
you can jazz it up.
grandma's definitely the move.
For sure.
Number 33. Basically, I feel like we've told you this many a times, but do your family photos after your ceremony.
This is a hill I will die on.
I will die on this hill as well.
Doing your family photos after the ceremony is the only way to do it in my head. Yes, logistically, there's other ways you can do this.
Yes, you could do it before, but it's just so much easier to do it after because everyone is already sitting there. It's easier to keep them corralled than to have them show up an hour early and make sure everyone's there and make sure everyone's ready and not running around trying to finish last minute details.
Yep. And they all blame the photographer for being in their suit for an extra hour.
Yep.
And then you forget somebody because Uncle Bill was still trying to get out of the hotel on time and wasn't part of this whole process. And then after the ceremony, you have to do everything over again anyway. So why not just do it after the ceremony?
And if you do it, like we've mentioned with the list, it does not take that much time. I get it. You don't want to spend an hour taking family photos after your ceremony. Make the list, make it quick, and we'll be good. Yeah. And we don't have to worry about all the showing up early and the chasing down of people.
Right. And yes, there's so many pieces of the puzzle. Do your family photos after the ceremony.
Please
Period.
And thank you.
Please and thank you. Okay. Number 34 is to hire a videographer. And here's why I say this. Photos can only do so much on your wedding day, right? Photos do a great job of documenting the process and documenting all the little pieces that go through this thing. But video can add just a whole different vibe to the day and can catch things that photos can't, right? Mm-hmm. Video can obviously record speeches and meaningful words and moments that you go through that part.
And the sniffles and the tears at the first looks.
Yep. And the sounds of kids that are going to be kids today, but not kids forever. And whatever that is, right? You get to hear Grandpa Bill's voice on camera, right? Video can add just a whole different component to the day. So if you've got the budget and you're looking for that extra piece of memorabilia that is going to travel with you and give you a cool thing to sit back and watch on your anniversary or whatever this is, hire a videographer. They will be a cool addition to the memory documents.
Number 35. This can be used in several different parts of your wedding day, but rent a bus or a trolley to shuttle around the bridal party from, like, if you're getting ready at a different spot than your ceremony, or if your ceremony's at a different spot than your reception, hiring a bus to take the bridal party from one spot to the other makes everything so much smoother. Everyone sticks together. No one gets lost. No one gets left behind.
Sometimes these venues have small parking lots. We've got a couple places here in town that are they don't handle that many cars well. So if you can minimize the number of people or the number of cars that are coming to your place by putting people on a bus or a trolley, all the better.
Secondary to that, use that same trolley or bus to take people home after the wedding so that you don't have drunk drivers.
Yep. A lot of venues around here have contracts with trolleys or shuttle buses that allow them to keep people moving through there. Plus, how cool is it to have all of your people on a bus after one of the biggest moments of your life and just be able to party with them for 10, 15, 20 minutes or whatever it takes to get to your venue, right? Like, that's a cool thing, right? Just adds to some of my favorite photos that we take on a wedding day are on that bus, right? Or in that moment where everybody's just the emotions are done. You know, we've been all nervous. Now we're all excited and off we go. Right. So that's a cool way to add some cool pieces to your day. Okay. So tip number 36 is to make sure that you clean your ring the week of your wedding. Your ring is going to be a center point of a lot of photos when it comes to your wedding day. And speaking from a wedding photographer's perspective, nobody wants to see your wedding grunk on there. You've probably worn your engagement ring for a while, and it's probably, good on you that whatever. But
there's always like little hairs sticking off of it that you don't see with your eyes, and there's dirt and in all honesty, most ring shops will do that for free if you walk in and say, "Hey, I'm getting married tomorrow, and I need my ring cleaned. Please help me." And it takes 5 seconds. For sure.
Yeah. And it makes a huge difference. I married a nurse and she washes her hands at work like 1 million times a day. And every time she washes it, they have to put on these, the different soaps and the different things that come in there. And you would be amazed at what builds up in a ring over time. Right. So just do yourself a favor, get it cleaned, make it sparkle.
I mean, it's more shiny and fun to look at that way anyways.
For sure. Totally. Yeah. Okay.
Number 37. Garrett has probably told you these stories about
This has been
15 trillion times now.
This
but
has been in every podcast we've made, I think.
check your suit bags for all the pieces before the wedding. That goes for groomsmen, bridesmaids, moms, dads, literally everyone. Check it, double check it, triple check it. Maybe add some extras. Don't forget things.
Can I tell the story one more time?
Maybe not.
Okay, well, go back to the other episodes and you'll hear the story.
Go back to episode 3, episode 4, episode probably 5, and you'll
Yeah.
hear all of those stories.
I think we cut
once
it
or
out of
twice.
one of them, but whatever. Anyway, check your stuff. Make sure it's in there. Don't make emergency trips to town to find things that you thought were in there that weren't. So, okay. Tip number 38. Make sure. So if you're one of those that wants to honeymoon right after your wedding, not opposed to that, right? However, I don't, and this is a personal opinion. You guys can hate me on the internet for whatever you want to do here, but in my opinion, if you have worked hard to get all of these people in your life into one place for one night, and one of the very few nights that ever happens in your life, right? Running out of your wedding to your honeymoon, either the night of or the day after, tends to, from my perspective, it's like, dude, you just worked hard to get all these people to one place, and now you're running out on them. Like,
Yeah.
so if you're gonna go on a honeymoon, in my opinion, if you want to go right after your wedding, that's great. I can appreciate that. I think that you need a mental break after you've just planned a wedding for however many months and months and months. Make sure that you leave for your honeymoon 2 to 3 days after your wedding, right?
Yeah, give yourself a minute to just soak it all in. Talk about your day. Sit with your now husband and just enjoy all the things that just happened. Talk about your favorite parts of the day because they're probably different than each other's.
Laugh about all the stupid
Look at all the
stories
photos you see on Instagram from your
sure.
friends. Yeah, laugh about all the stupid things that happened that you noticed that no one else noticed. There's just a lot to debrief from that after your wedding, and by rushing out at midnight to catch a 2 a.m. flight, if not out of Montana, we don't do that here.
No.
But
I have seen it done though.
yeah, we
Yeah.
have seen that.
Literally drive out of the venue right to the airport and go to the honeymoon. So, personal opinion, hot
Yeah.
take, right? Give yourself 2 to 3 days. Fly out on Monday. Fly out on Tuesday. Right? Like, let all these people that have come to be with you enjoy their moment, because they probably only got 40 seconds of your time on the wedding day anyway, because there's so many other pieces going on. Go have brunch. Go have lunch. Go get maybe a beer. I say maybe you're off a beer by that point. 'Cause
Yeah, maybe you're
maybe
done
the
with
day,
that for a minute.
maybe the day after is not the greatest time to go have another beer, but whatever. Maybe it is. Give them some time. Celebrate those people as well.
Number 239, write your partner, we basically just said this, but write your partner a note to be delivered to them the morning of your wedding, whether that is your gift or whether it is in accompaniment to your gift. Just write some little love notes. I mean, how often do you get to read notes from your loved one if they're not into that sort of thing? So it's just a fun little addition.
Handwritten makes life
Handwritten.
so much better, right?
Yeah, do not type it, please.
Yep.
Maybe don't use pencil either. A nice handwritten note.
Yeah.
Tell them how much you love them.
Give
Tell
them something
them
that
what
you can
you're
hold on
excited
to.
for.
Yep.
Keep it forever.
Okay. Here is number 40. This is another hill I will completely die on forever
And ever.
and all times. Feed your vendors. Period. End of story. Feed your vendors, right? We're people too. I would say that 99, probably 97% of people are awesome about this. Oh my gosh, make sure you guys get food. This is no problem, right?
Yep.
Here's the thing. As a photographer, we've been on our feet since probably about the middle of the day with you, and we've been here for several hours at a time trying to put this whole thing together, and we've been in work mode all the way through this. We have been scheduling, we've been organizing, we've been trying to be creative through this whole process. And if you decide that we don't need food, or if you're trying to schedule things around, or why aren't you doing this while, we're eating, why can't you go be doing these other things?
Realize that your vendors are people too, and they also will get hangry if you don't feed them. And if we don't have dinner, we're going to be a lot more snappy with you later on in the night than if you just give us, it doesn't even have to be like, they don't need a 30-minute to an hour break. Give them 10 minutes, give them a plate of food, and you're good.
Give them an uninterrupted corner.
Oh my God, yes, please don't interrupt them while they're eating.
And 12 minutes. Like, that's all they need, right?
Yes.
There have been many a wedding where I've had to interrupt my plate of food to go do the thing because the toaster's tarting, or, now we're doing into this next thing, or whatever it is. And that's kind of a bummer, right?
And at least from our perspective, the easiest way to not have it be intrusive to give them that minute is let them go to the food line when you go to the food line. Have them go in the beginning. Yes, they're not family members, whatever. or have a plate set aside for them. So then when you are eating, they are eating. So they finish when the toast start or whenever the next thing happens. They're already fed. They're already ready to go. They won't be mad at you.
I was really nervous about playing this card when I was younger and doing all this stuff. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm in the way. Let me just. And as I got older, I'm like, nope, pulling the card.
Screw it.
Okay, you're gonna go through. The bridal party's gonna go through, and then I'll let maybe mom and dad go through, and then I'm diving right in behind them, right? So that again, if I eat when you eat, then when the next thing happens, we're all ready to go. Right.
Yep.
So, but that goes for all the vendors, right? So make sure you feed your vendors because they will work
Yes.
harder for you if you feed them.
And they'll be much nicer to you if you feed
Period.
them.
End of story.
We do have one bonus.
I was always told that if you're ever going to give a certain number of things, always overdo.
Yep.
Right? Overpromise,
Yep.
underdeliver. No, under-promise, over-deliver. Yes.
Yes.
Under-promise, over-deliver. Yes. So we're going to give you an extra one here.
Which goes back to the beginning of your day, pretty much basically. When you are pulling your bouquets out to use them for bridal party photos, dab them with a napkin, dab them with something, dry off the bottoms of the stems, because if you immediately take them out of your vase and you hold them in front of your dress, it will look like you peed your pants.
That is a Photoshop problem for your photographer that they do not want to have to deal with, right? So whether it's paper towel, napkin, towel, whatever you got, right? Just make sure you dab the bottom of those bouquets so that you can, especially if a like a bridal, a lot of times it doesn't show up on the wedding dress as much, but the bridal party dresses, it shows up on a lot more of that stuff. So, so make sure you dab those things with some napkins. Okay. So we just smashed you in the face with 41 wedding tips over the last 2 weeks. Hopefully there's some cool things in there. Take it for what it's worth. Take it or leave it. You can decide how to put your day together however you want to. But here is, a bunch of information from people that have been around this enough. Some of it might sound like it's pretty straightforward and pretty common sense, but you'd be amazed at what we all think is common sense and what isn't. So again, thank you for your ears. Hopefully you got some value out of this whole thing. Check back in with us next week, and we will continue this journey of hopefully giving you content and ideas. And
don't forget to go to our website so you can download our PDFs.
Right. We have emergency day kit information in there. We have
our details checklist.
We'll probably even just put this list of 40 tips in there.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
That'd be fun.
Now that you've gotten to the end of this and probably scribbled them down as quickly as you can now just take a printable of it.
I totally should have told you that. Like, don't worry about the crayon and writing it all down. But anyway,
welcome to wedding planning.
Sometimes you got to write things down and then see it, and then, it hits home the third time. So, okay, awesome. Well, appreciate you guys. Let us know if you have any questions or if you have any hot takes or if we need to talk about anything specific.
All right.
We're here.
See you. Bye.
Cue the music. With the slider.
I feel like I want to add some extra fun in here.
I'm waiting for the first comment on this thing to say, dude, that is the pre-programmed music that comes on every...
Don't tell everyone that.
Okay, sorry. Want your questions answered on the podcast? Are you newly married or engaged, or are you a wedding vendor wanting to be a guest on the show? Want weekly tips and insights sent right to your inbox? Send us a message at www.floatingleafstudios.com/2togspodcast.
And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.